Welcome back, it's me, Lou. Today I'm going to share with you some customizing tips for your Masters of the Universe Origins action figures. So, a few videos back, I shared my tips for creating a custom Eternian Royal Guard using the Man-at-Arms action figure as a base. And one of the things I discussed was taking the Man-at-Arms head and possibly swapping out the head, and you could just create a new character by just swapping out the head. But one thing I discovered along the way was that so the Man-at-Arms head is actually made of two pieces. There's the head and then there's the helmet. And I kind of discovered that I started fiddling around with the figure and I was prying it apart a little towards the back, and I noticed that it was coming off kind of easy. And I pulled hard enough and I kept on tugging at it, and eventually I was able to separate the helmet from the head. And as you can see here, along the brow and the edge of the face, there was a little bit of glue they used. So removing this helmet was kind of easy. And then after I removed the helmet, it kind of got me thinking, alright, so I could remove the helmet from the head. Now, is the same possible with the other figures, but removing the hairpiece from the head? So that began my little experiment for today, and the first figure I tried it on was a spare HeMan figure I had. So this is the normal retail HeMan figure, and like the Man-at-Arms, I was kind of prying at it, and I'm like, oh, the hair is kind of coming off. So I kept on tugging at it, but it was really stubborn. So my hypothesis was that it was possible there was probably more glue involved. So what I did was I took a mug, filled it with water, put it in the microwave for about 3 minutes. When it was done, I submerged the head in the water for 2 or 3 minutes, got the plastic nice and soft, removed it, and it kind of like loosened up the glue, and I kept on pulling and pulling. And eventually, it was really stubborn. I was able to separate the hairpiece from the head. And it wasn't as clean of a job as the Man-at-Arms head because they definitely used more glue here. As you can see, when I ripped it off, it kind of ripped parts of the hairpiece off, and it remained stuck on the head of HeMan. And it wasn't a clean job, but I was successful in removing the hair from the head. So once that was done, it got me thinking, okay, let's see if I could actually create a new character. I'll take the Man-at-Arms helmet and I'll put it on the HeMan head and kind of line up the notches and the little tabs. It's not a perfect fit, but it's kind of doable. So in a sense, you could create a new Royal Guard character using a HeMan head and the Man-at-Arms helmet. But the drawback is that there's going to be a slight gap on each side. Now, I can kind of live with that. Some people might not. I know there's probably customizers out there who are super talented, and they could probably use green stuff or epoxy putty, and they could probably fill in that gap and make it look nice. But it's possible. So if you want to make a new Royal Guard character, or just a new character in general, try removing the hair pieces from the head or the helmets from the head or whatever, and just try swapping them around. The Masters of the Universe Origin figures and the WWE figures, they're very versatile in a sense that they allow you to swap body parts. But the only downside to that, it's kind of hard because if you look here, in a lot of cases, the flesh tones don't match. So even though you can remove the arms, if I put this arm on this body, it's going to look terrible because the flesh tones don't match. But in the sense of being able to swap other accessories, like the possibility of swapping out helmets and hairs to create new characters, that's a very viable option. Like here. So in many ways, you could create a new guy just by swapping out the hairpiece or the helmet. And this is a completely different character than it was before. It's a different head than the PowerCon exclusive Man-at-Arms, where it was the beardless Man-at-Arms figure. But here you go. Here's an option. This looks like a completely different dude now. And that leaves us with Duncan's head. You know, you could try. It's not. This isn't a perfect fit at all, but I just think it's funny. You know, you could put the Man at Arms head with the He-Man hair, and you could probably do some modifications to it, like maybe paint on a beard or change the color of the hair. And that's one way of creating a new guy. Let's see if all right, there you go. Snap back on. So we have that, which brings us to this. Here's Roddy Piper, the good old hot rod, and it got me thinking too. You know, is that possible with the WWE figures? So much like the He-Man, I was kind of prying it apart. It was kind of stubborn. Gave it a nice dunk in some hot boiling water for a couple minutes, and I kept on pulling and pulling, and there we go. I was able to separate the hair piece from the head. And just like the He-Man one, they used a little bit more glue than the Man at Arms. So some of the plastic from the hair ripped off, and it still adhered to the hot rod head, as you can see here. If you go this route and you want to use these as customs, you'll probably have to clean some of this glue and hair remnant off using maybe like a sharp blade or X-Acto knife. But it's possible. You could remove the hair piece from the head. Unfortunately, the Man at Arms helmet, this doesn't fit very well. The hot rod head's pretty big, so yeah. See, it's not a good fit. It's possible, but I think you'd have to shave some of the plastic on the back and top of the head to get to work. But with the He-Man here, I think it's kind of a different story. It's not a perfect fit, but you could kind of get it to work. If you don't mind the fact that his hairline's going to be receding a little. Yeah, so you could kind of get it to work. So, I mean, these are options for creating new characters and new figures. It's not perfect by any means. In many cases, you might have to do a little bit of modifying to get the pieces to fit correctly. You might have to shave some of the plastic down. You might have to use super glue to hold stuff in place. But it's an option. I think it's an option worth exploring if you have the skill and the craftsmanship to do it. Because I think you yield really good results. A word of caution, though, this process isn't always easy. It's, you know, there's a good 50-50 chance that you can ruin the figure head or the hairpiece or the helmet. So, you know, just be careful trying to do it. If the glue is really stubborn, just submerge it in hot water and be careful you don't accidentally, like, burn yourself. It really depends on how much glue they use. They didn't use as much glue gluing on Man at Arms' helmet to his head, but for some of these other figures, they kind of really globbed it on there. So, but it's funny. You can create new fun characters like this. You know, weird Man at Arms. Almost kind of looks like Burt Reynolds with long hair. And I like this one a lot. I like the He-Man head with the Man at Arms helmet. I think I'm gonna make another one just so I can have a pair of Royal Guards. So this is a wonderful toy line. This is unfortunate though that the problem with the flesh tones, because you know, I kind of get it, especially with the WWE figures. They're based off of, you know, real people and real, you know, actual real wrestlers, and they want to get the likeness as perfect as possible. So they can't just use, like, you know, one flesh tone across the board. It really has to kind of match, you know, the wrestler specifically. But there's options. There's always going to be options. So I hope you found this tip informative. If you have any tips of your own for customizing Masters of the Universe Origin figures, please leave them in the comments below. I'm always trying to find new ways to spruce up my figures, to make upgrades, and just to create new characters in general. Like, I have so many ideas of characters and figures I want to make, you know, whether it's fantasy-based or science fiction-based. You know, there's some characters I want to make that are based off video games, some based off of movies and comic books. But for me, the challenge is that I like to keep things to a bare minimum. Like if I don't have to paint anything, or if I don't have to modify anything too heavily, that's the kind of route I want to take right now. So if you have any cool tips or tricks or whatever, just let me know. Otherwise, I hope you found this insightful and informative. If you're a customizer, I hope you're creating some really cool stuff. I love going on social media on like Instagram and seeing all the cool figures people are making nowadays. People are really innovative using stuff like 3D printers. There's some brilliant and talented sculptors out there, and it's really inspiring. So for me, it's kind of like I kind of want to jump into that pool also. I've always customized toys, but for the HeMan and Masters of the Universe stuff, it's really really piquing my interest right now. So I don't know. I'm kind of going full steam ahead with this. So once again, my name is Lou. Thank you so much for dropping by, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.